Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So, in last episode, we simulated year number 7, and it was another successful year for this team as we managed to get all the way up to 34 wins on the season, and we were not even close to being in last place in the league. So, this team is definitely trending still in the right direction. And very excited to see what they could do in the years to come, because I think we should be able to make it to the playoffs in under 5 seasons, which is very exciting, obviously, because then we could kind of start taking this a little bit slower because we've been going through these early seasons quite quickly. But like I said, it was another good season for the team, mainly led by the likes of Ristolainen and the top line. Ristolainen wins his second straight Selke trophy, and he's only 23/24 years old. So he's already won 2 Selkes before Bergeron won his first 2 Selkes in his NHL career. So who knows? Maybe Ristolainen is going to be the best defensive forward of all time in the NHL, which should be exciting. So he now has, like I said, 2 Selke trophies already. And yeah, he's still obviously signed here for 6 more years at least, and then we'll probably lock him up for the rest of his career pretty much at that point. But yeah, Stubwitz was also good on 34 goals. Kolars was good with 75 points. Tuzolino was good with 71 points. He could have probably been up there for Norris if the league wasn't such high scoring. We had Bogosian on 50 points, which was nice. Del Monte on 46. So, like, we got some pretty solid depth scoring. The only issue, as you can see with the plus-minus, is it seems like our top guys obviously have good plus-minus, but then you get into, like, the bottom 6 and all that stuff. The plus-minus is still a bit of an issue. So, obviously, going forward, we're going to need to address that, and hopefully we can get more good depth into our lineup, because obviously that's where we're going to need to work on making our team better at, is especially, I'd say, in goaltending right now, because goaltending, it's still 75, so this is technically like running an AHL tandem at the moment. And then our defensive core still needs a bit more depth to it. Like, it has 2 good defensemen, 3 good defensemen, actually 2, Celino, Noreno, and Bell. These other guys are not necessarily NHL caliber just yet, so obviously if our defensive core improves, obviously I think we'll be a much better team in terms of keeping the puck out of the net on that bottom 6. But anyways, before we get into another off-season, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into the year 7 draft and see what we could snag up. And obviously we're going to do all the off-season stuff that we normally do as we try and set this team up for another year. So the first 2 comments are from Big T. The first one is Kim... is Kim taking steroids? And Kim, one of our top prospects, he's medium elite potential. We didn't really expect him to get a ton of growth within a season. Well, he got a substantial amount of growth. Like, he's actually listed as a 72 overall already after 1 season of growth. So Rick Kim has been an absolute animal in terms of development. He looks like this now, and I think he's definitely going to be getting signed this offseason. But there's a good chance that we'll probably play him in the AHL just so he can get a little bit more development. But I was not expecting him to go up so much, because he started off last season as like a 54 overall, and he just jumped up by almost 20 points in overall, which, like, I wasn't expecting that much growth. Like, I thought as a medium elite that went in the second round, maybe he would jump up to like a 60 or something like that, but his 72 is absolutely insane, because that's almost one of the best players on our team in a sense. And yeah, so Rick Kim will probably start the year in the AHL, but there's a chance that he could come up to the NHL mid-season next year or after 1 year in the AHL. So that's going to be very nice in terms of giving us better depth down the middle, because obviously right now Bogosian's a good center to have, but I think he's kind of more of a future third-line guy. We also have Steen on a 76, Tulipov as a 73, but we definitely need to have more depth down the middle, and that's exactly what Kim hopefully will provide for us down the road. Big T also says, do you have it on high for the shots and scoring? And I don't think so. I think I just left it on the default stuff, which should be medium. Let's double check. I think, where would I check this? Rules, I guess? I think. Let me take a look and see if I could find out for you. But I don't think I adjusted any of that scoring related things. Yeah, see, Simon's scoring's on medium, yet we're seeing that much goal scoring, which is pretty insane. Draft class quality's on medium, prospect quality's, shot frequency's still on high. So that it was left on high by default, because I think EA puts it at that. So The only thing that's high is the shot frequency, but the sim engine scoring is still on medium. So the fact that we're seeing guys pick up like 130 plus points is pretty insane. I don't know if it's because we're in the league and maybe when teams play against us, they pad their stats basically. But obviously there is quite a bit of scoring in the league, and I kind of like it. I like seeing all these guys picking up tons of points. Kind of goes a little bit of more of a throwback to the 1980s when hockey was insane in terms of player points. The next two comments are from Dusty Wall. The first one says, I think for next season you need better special teams coaches, associate and assistant, I believe. Would help with your team simulation if the top line had better chemistry than a +1. Maybe sacrifice a bit of depth for more chemistry up front, but also you're not quite at the competitive level either. Just got to focus on growth for another year or two. And yeah, the coaching staff, I do like the current coaching staff quite a bit because I feel like most of our players have benefited quite well. Now, we could look into, at some point, maybe changing up the associate and assistant, but for right now, I feel like they're okay because like the staff chemistry seems to be pretty high. Like Wharton has an 80% on staff chemistry. You have Morita who's a 70% and Riddle who's a 72%. Our goalie coach is a 75%. So I don't really see huge issues right now with our special teams. But obviously, maybe at some point, like maybe next off season or the year we actually start to try and contend, maybe we'll adjust the coaching staff accordingly. But I think right now it's a good enough coaching staff that I don't really need to change too much about it. But obviously, at some stage, maybe we could look into doing that. He also says, also, Peterson is definitely your pick. Top 6 or elite doesn't really matter. So he's saying to go with Mauricio Peterson in the draft, which... Or Peterson, I think it's pronounced probably. But yeah, we definitely should probably go for him. We were looking into him a little bit in last episode. And we don't know if he's elite. We don't know if he's a top 6. But he is NHL ready and he has good attributes. So that should definitely give us good depth down the middle. Now, Peterson would give us a third center technically because eventually Kim will maybe be a top 6 center. So Peterson might have to develop a bit more into like being a bottom 6 center for us. Maybe we eventually get him into the top 6 if we end up losing players or all that. But yeah, basically Peterson's just going to give us a lot more depth down the middle, which is kind of nice in a sense. He's also a right-handed shot, so maybe I could persuade him to be a right winger or somebody else be a right winger, so then he could be a top 6 center. But for right now, I think obviously starting next season, he'll probably be on the third line. Maybe he could be on the second line and we move Bogosian down. But since he's a two-way forward, maybe it's better to have him in the bottom 6 for the time being just to help us out with our defensive play down there because we know our defensive play struggles in the bottom 6 and he could definitely help clean it up a little bit. The next comment is from Saturn Taco. Says it would be nice if there was a way to offer an incentive for a player to change positions, like a spot in the top 6, power play time, etc. There has to be some way you can improve the plus minus of your roster outside of the first line and top defensive pairing. The second forward line in particular is terrible defensively, and Del Monte not developing any X factors yet is concerning. Peterson is probably the pick, but keep in mind that if you don't move Doig, you'll have two-way forwards on the second line. Edit, maybe Kim could take over that second line role, and Peterson could be a solid bottom 6 player that could be developed into a penalty kill specialist, since that's one of the greatest areas of need right now. And yeah, that's basically a good way of setting it up, I think, because right now, obviously, having Doig as a second liner, he is also a two-way forward, so maybe it's good for Mauricio Peterson to just basically be like a third line center, but he's also like one of the top penalty kill guys on the team, kind of like Ristolainen is with the penalty kill, but obviously not getting as much time in terms of other special teams. But he probably would get power play time too, my guess, but on the second unit. But yeah, that's probably a good idea in terms of play for him because I think him being like a playmaker, or actually he's a sniper, he would probably be better as this top line, like a second line center. But the thing is the faceoffs, I believe, aren't super good. So maybe we try and change him over to a winger, and then Peterson could play still second line center. I don't know if two-way forwards next to each other on the second line is a great idea, though. That's the only thing. So we could definitely look into stuff like that once we actually have like him in the lineup, which is going to be not this coming season, but the season afterwards. The next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, good on Rick Kim. I think one more year in the AHL at 72, and then the following season maybe a 78 to 79. And yeah, I think that's probably like the best bet, because Rick Kim should probably be a good NHLer by the time he's done after one AHL season, Kind of reminds me of when my Jet series last year, if you guys watched that series, we had a guy named Ekholm. Basically, he was, I think he was like a 78 or something like that, but I played him in the AHL because we had so much depth in the NHL already, and then he jumped up all the way to like an 84 for his rookie season, nearly won the Calder, so maybe that's a good idea for Rick Kim as well, as to get a year in the AHL, and then he can come into our NHL team and maybe win a Calder if he has a high overall to start the season, so that might be the play for the start of next year, actually 2 years from now, I should say. And the last and final comment is from Joseph D. Miller, who says, awesome growth from Kim. Congrats, Risto, too. And yes, sir, I was like really shocked to see Risto continuing to win Selkies. Like, I know that he's got 99 on his faceoffs, but literally, like, this guy should win hypothetically a ton because those faceoff numbers are insane. Those defensive stats are insane. Like, his stick checking's an 89, so he's definitely going to have a lot of takeaways for a long time. And he still has years of development to go to, so I think we're definitely going to turn this guy into an absolute stud, and like I said, I want to hold him on to him for probably his entire career if we can, because if he wins a lot of Selkies like he's been doing, he's going to become one of the best defensive forwards the league has ever seen. So anyways, there is that. Let's hop into the draft and see what we can snag up here. Hopefully we can snag up some good prospects for our team. Some of them will be on the NHL roster, some maybe in the AHL, some might go unsigned for a year or two. But let's see if we can make some good selections, because this is the latest we've ever drafted. Because we are going to be drafting 10th overall, which is pretty insane, because I didn't expect us to finish that high up necessarily. Like, I thought we were going to finish above like 3 to 5 teams or something like that, but 10 teams or 9 other teams is kind of insane. So this team might be close to 500 next year, depending on what we draft in this episode. So anyways, let's take a look at this top 5 of the draft. So Washington has first overall. They select Parks, who's an 82 overall left wing playmaker. Interesting. What's his first name again? Raphael Parks. Okay. So this is what he's looking like. The first overall selection does have some X factors, including third eye, relentless, and crease crasher. He also could play left wing and center too. So that's actually kind of nice that this guy has 2 positions. So that will be useful for the Washington Capitals in terms of setting up their lines. Chicago at number 2 is going to take Latendresse, who is the DFD. Philippe Latendresse. Okay. Yeah, very good defensive stats, good shot blocking, good stick checking. No X factors to start off his career, but he should be a good, nice shutdown defenseman for Chicago. Buffalo at number 3 is going to take Isbister, who's also a DFD 78 overall. Interesting. So there's Clifford Isbister, who does have shutdown. So he actually has an ability, but lower overall than Latendresse. Pretty similar build in terms of good defensive awareness and all that, but interesting for the first 3 selections. Seattle at 4 is going to take Dixon, who is an 81 overall two-way forward. That's a really good player to take at 4th overall. Cameron Dixon, with some weird spelling of Cameron. But yeah, this guy's going to be a really good two-way forward for them. Like, he's definitely going to be one of those guys that I feel like if he gets enough growth, he could definitely compete with Ristolainen for a Selke down the road. Like, his stick checking is pretty good. His face-offs need obviously a lot of work to get to where Risto's is, but these two-way forwards are definitely going to be the competition in the future. And finally, Washington, or not Washington, what am I saying? Washington, man, my brain's scrambled today. Tampa takes Hopkins at 5th overall. He's also an 81. Damn, that might mean that our player that we're going to be taking is going to be good. Yeah, this might be a really stacked draft class. So Gabriel Hopkins, playmaker, no X factors, but good stats all around. Also good centerman with good face-offs. So it's good that these centermen have actually good face-offs, because if they had like 60-something on face-offs, that would not be great. But that's a really stacked top 5. Because these 2 guys could probably play in the NHL right away. Isbister's kind of closer to a depth defenseman, but Parks is good, Dixon's good, Hopkins is good. And then we get to pick in a couple more selections. These top 6 forwards, how good do they look even? They actually look pretty good too. So, yeah, actually in these guys, not so much. Oh, I'm hoping that we actually still could get Peterson here, because if we have to go with Clifford or Tyrell, those guys are like 3-year-old top 6 forwards. These guys are almost NHL ready top 6 forwards. So I really hope we get Peterson here, and hopefully the AI doesn't screw me out of Mauricio, because it would be nice to have another Mauricio on a Draft to Glory team like I did last year. So let's see what the other teams take here up to our picks. So Winnipeg at 6th overall takes Wheeler, 75 overall power forward. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good starting point for a top 6 forward. No X factors, but another Wheeler joins the Jets, which is kind of neat. All right. San Jose at 7th overall selects Doan, who is a 71 overall. So that's one of the 3-year out, I think, medium top 6 forwards. Maybe it's not. I don't remember exactly, but Manny Doan. What a name. All right, so there is the top 7. We got a couple teams to go through still before our selection. Anaheim takes Clifford. That's a 3-year out top 6 for sure. 66 overall, so that's what Ernesto Clifford looks like. All right. Ernesto is such an interesting name. And Detroit at number 9 is going to select Tyrell, the other 3-year out top 6 forward. So we are going to get our player, which is exciting because I feel like it's going to be an absolute steal. Is he going to be a top 6 forward with a high overall? Is he going to be an elite player? It's really tough to tell. Like, he could be a low elite that's like a 75, which would be insane. Yeah, I honestly don't know how good he is. If he's NHL ready, the other guys were like 1-year out as top 6 forwards and they're like 75 overall. So this guy's got to have a good starting point. Like, he could be a 79 overall top 6 forward. Regardless, it's going to give us some good depth. Let's bring in Mauricio Peterson to our center core. 77 overall top 6 forwards. A little lower than I was hoping for, but still, that's a really good player to start. He does only have the top 6 forward potential. We were thinking he could be elite, but he is a 2-way forward as expected. He has good face-offs for 77 as well, so he is definitely going to be probably more of a middle 6 option at center. I mean, I do like Bogosian down the middle kind of as a third-line center once Kim can become the second-line center. But maybe we could run Bogosian as the center on the second line still, and then we could try and change, Kim over to a left wing or a right wing sniper if we want to, but at the same time, I don't really know if we need that in our top 6. I don't know. We definitely have work to do, but this is still going to be a nice penalty killer. He's definitely going to be in our lineup, I think, next season, considering he's such a high overall to start. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to play him in the NHL next year. It might stunt his growth a bit, though. That's the one thing. So maybe I'll leave him unsigned in this episode, but I'll leave your guys' opinions for that. But I think playing in the NHL right away might be okay, because he is technically listed as a minor scoring forward, so he technically could play in the AHL, but since he played in Brandon, he is not AHL eligible. So it's either the NHL or going back to the WHL for another year. All right, let's simulate to our next pick at 42 and see if we could get any steals here. I think there was a guy pinned here, but I do not remember who. Damn, a 76 overall medium forward going in the second round. Yeah, this might be actually an okay draft in terms of some of the depth, which is nice. There is some medium 9s, though, going, so this might not be the strongest draft, but there might be some good steals here and there. We did pin Pascal Lambert for the second round as a potential elite player. There is some top 6 forwards guaranteed as well. One's a playmaker, an Edgar Pearson. Might have tape to tape, but no guarantees on that. He's probably like a 65. Vaclav Hammerlich is a grinder. Definitely doesn't look as good. Lambert's probably a top 6 forward, I feel like. I don't feel like we need left wingers as much as centers at the moment, but I feel like we have a lot of centers too. Is there anybody else that I pinned around this stage? There's another top 6 forward that's a power forward, but lower overall looks like for sure too. Did I pin anybody here? Let's see. These guys I could take later for sure, including Watson and all that. So I think might honestly go for... I don't know if I should go for Lambert or not. He's not guaranteed to be a sniper, and he's not guaranteed to be a medium 6 either. But he probably is a medium 6. I might literally be leaning towards Edgar Pearson since he's a playmaker. Gives us another option I can put next to a sniper. And he's going to be a 65 overall or something like that. So he could play in the AHL too right away, which is nice. I don't know if I would, but it would give us more depth in the middle, which isn't a bad problem to have. I already feel like we have enough left wingers, kind of with Colars and Del Monte. I feel like Lambert, he could be a low elite though. He could be a low elite here. Really tough to tell. What do I want to take? Maybe I should go for the left wing, because technically if Lambert is a low elite sniper, technically Del Monte could be like a future just third line 2-way forward kind of guy. Lambert could get into the top 6. You know what? I'm going to take a chance on Pascal Lambert here. His potential looks like it could be better. He could honestly just be good as Pearson, but I'm going to take a chance on Pascal here. Let's take a chance. 67 overall, top 6 sniper. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. I was hoping for maybe a lowly, but 67 overall is a good overall to have. Good shooting categories. Has okay face-offs, but he's not a centerman anyways, so that's good. Yeah, that might give us some more depth in terms of scoring, which is good, because obviously our top line right now is our main scoring line, so if we could get our other line scoring a lot, that will give us some good good plus-minus results in the bottom 6. So let's actually take a look at the other guys here. Pearson was a little bit lower, so I guess I made a right selection there. Pearson was a 66. We could use more down the middle, though, too, so maybe that wasn't the best selection. I don't really know. Hammerlick's a 65, so maybe we did get the best player out of the bunch. All right, our next selection at 75. Let's see if we can find any steals here. The rest of this class is not super great, it looks like. Ugh, yikes. Hentonen doesn't look the best. Langdon actually looks okay. Langdon looks okay, but he's not fully scouted. I feel like he's going to be a medium 9 now. What about Jukka Luutinen? Some of these guys could be elites. That looks a little bit intriguing to me. Ludvig Enroth. Didn't I have a Ludvig Enroth before in my Jet series last year? Or was that a different... What was his first name? Was it Ludvig Enroth? I'm trying to remember. Honestly, don't remember. But if this guy is a lowly, that would be really nice. He looks pretty good in terms of everything. You know what? We're going to take a chance on Enroth here. He looks nice. So, and we could use more right wingers. Medium 9. Yeah. Not as good a potential as I was hoping for, but a 62 overall is a solid starting point. Might become a good AHL scorer. Maybe even gets into our bottom 6 if he develops enough, but I don't mind that just for the depth purpose. What else can we get here? Yeah, this draft class is not super strong for sure now anymore. Gianna could be a high starter, but we don't really need it. Actually, do we need goalie prospects? I don't think so, right? Let's see. Let me actually just go to offer trade so that way I could actually take a look at what we have in terms of goalie prospects. I feel like we already have a ton, right? Yeah, Spezza's getting close. Semenov, we have Ollie. We are going to have to let go of some of these guys in this episode, but technically we do have a lot of goaltending prospects. But we are going to be letting go of some, so do I just draft another one? I don't really know. I'm trying to think if it would be worth it or not. Let's look at Engqvist. And not the best. 4 years out, though. Might be a little elite because of that. Ben might be medium elite because he's 5 years out. These guys could be like low 4s and stuff, too. You know what? I think I'm just going to take the goalie just because the fact that we are going to be letting go some goalies gives us just another goalie prospects to maybe just get as a starting goalie down the road. Oh, he is a high starter. Damn. Jason Giunta. 48 overall is very low to start for a high starter, but that's really good potential. I was thinking he was going to maybe actually just be a medium starter, but a high starter I will definitely take for a 4th round selection. So who knows? Maybe that guy is the future starter, not the elite goalie. We'll find out in the next number of years, but that's a good little selection there, even though he's a low overall. There's some medium bottom 6s supposed to go around this stage. So wait, when is those players that I was interested in and that I pinned supposed to go? I think some of them are supposed to go next round, right? Yeah, I'll probably take Watson next round, Heatley in the 7th round. So here I could definitely try and go off the board a little bit. Let's see. In terms of potential, there is more good goalies, but we already have a lot, so This guy could be elite, probably not. Let's see. Those are the guys I had pinned. What about Geisbers? No guarantees he's elite, but he could be an offensive defenseman. Hedekin could be offensive as well. He's actually supposed to get drafted too. Geisbers is supposed to go around this point. I'll just take a chance on JC Geisbers. He's also from London, just like the goalie we just drafted. So we're going to take a chance on JC here. Low 6. It's not great. But it's okay. We're going to eventually get players like that in these type of drafts. So, okay, our final 2 picks of the draft. Let's take those 2 guys that could be low elite and hope that they are low elite, because that would be very nice. So we're going to start off by taking Jacob Watson, who's a right-handed defenseman. Could be a low elite. I feel like he is going to be a low elite, but he's going to be a very low starting overall because of all these attributes. So let's take a chance on Jacob Watson. Yeah, he is a low elite. Offensive defenseman. I was not expecting an OFD, but I will definitely take that. Who knows? This guy could be an absolute stud down the road, or he could end up like the guy in our AHL team. So there's Watson. Definitely low overall to start, but he could develop potentially into being something good for us. So I definitely like that selection. And our final pick of the draft is going to be that guy that also could be elite, that might not be. Jeremy Heatley. He's not supposed to get drafted, so this might be a little bit of a risk that he's not actually the elite. He could be like a low bottom 6, but we're going to take a chance on Jeremy Heatley that he's just as good as Danny Heatley. So welcome aboard to Mr. Heatley. Hey, 56 overall. He was not even supposed to get drafted, so that's actually a really good steal there too. 56 is a good starting point. He is 19 already, so that's a little bit of a question mark, but this guy could still end up being a good top 6 center for us maybe down the road. So I would say a pretty successful draft with that. Because if we look at our last few picks here, I would say we got some pretty good steals. High starter and 2 low elites. The other guys not so much, but yeah, it was a pretty solid draft for our team. So there is our draft for year 7. Peterson, Lambert, Enroth, Gionta, Geisbers, Watson, and Heatley. Very excited for Peterson. Lambert is going to be probably solid at some point. Enroth is a little bit of a mixed one considering he's medium 9. Gionta should be good, but obviously it's going to take him a long time to develop. Geisbers is probably our worst selection. And then Watson and Heatley hopefully make it one day. All right, now we got the re-sign stage. Fun times. Re-sign stage, and then obviously I got to get to the off-season focus stuff, which I'll obviously cut out of the episode. But let's re-sign our scouts here. We have some good scouts already, so we don't need to necessarily rechange our scouts. But I think we're starting to build up a good foundation of prospects. Will be interesting to see who's getting into our AHL team next year, because I would assume we're going to have some prospects going into there. Like, I think Spezza might be AHL bound next year, depending if he goes back to junior or not. Okay, so almost all our scouts are back. There we go. Perfect. Any coaches to bring back? No. Okay, so re-sign stage. Let's get to the contracts. What do we got? We got $53 million in cap space. Unsigned wise, I am gonna sign Kim obviously for the AHL because he is very good. So Rick Kim, welcome aboard to Burnaby. Dag is not AHL eligible yet, so I'll probably wait on him. So that's interesting. Oh, I just realized Pascal Lambert and Mark Dag actually play together in junior. They are on probably different lines because they're both left wingers, but that's kind of neat. Little story that we could throw to our roster. But should I sign any of these 3 guys? I want your guys' opinions for next episode. I'm going to leave them unsigned for now, but Peterson probably could play on our NHL team next year. And then these 2 aren't AHL eligible, so we'd have to play on our NHL team if we wanted to play them. So I'd probably wait a little bit, at least. Aside from that, probably don't need to sign Heatley and Peterson and stuff yet down here. This Peterson. We have Pedersen. Yeah, they're different spellings. One's with an E, one's with an O. But yeah, we have a lot of good prospects now unsigned, which is pretty nice. And then Gionta definitely isn't going to get signed yet because he's a pretty low overall to start. But let's get to this. So we'll start off by going to our unsigned prospects that are UFAs and signing them up. So Jordan Lee, who's low elite, he'll come into the AHL team. Same with Tulipov. So we are going to have some more defensive prospects in the minors, which is nice. We also have Winquist, who's got medium 6 potential. I'll sign him too. I'll sign most of our prospects, to be honest. And we also have Perron, the re-sign as a UFA. Interesting. Segal as an AHLer, sure. Might as well get as much players in there as possible. We also do got to bring back Spike Parks. I am going to let go of guys like Dezote then, because those guys are just filter players for the time being. We do need probably still some cap oil, so I'll hold those guys there for the time being. Parks likely is going to be out of the lineup because of the defensive additions. Oh, boy. Yeah, and then Perron's back to the NHL probably again next year. I'll just give him a 2-way deal like he wants. But Spike Parks might have to be on his way out, unfortunately, which kind of sucks because he's won a lot of awards, obviously, for us. Let's get Spets signed up here, too. I'm trying to think. Logically, I think Spike Parks would be out of the lineup in the AHL, because if we look at in the system right now, actually, we have a lot of guys that are currently RFAs, but technically we'd have 1, 2, 3, Pavelski probably gets let go of too. Like, we definitely have a way too much defenseman in the minors, I think. We're going to have to probably let go of a couple guys, even some RFAs that aren't doing too well. So I think Spike Parks honestly might have to leave. Unless we want to make him a cap whale. But I don't really know. In terms of RFAs, let's go to the bottom of this. I feel like I should let go of some of these guys, to be honest. Sign the ones with the good potential, at least. Bates is definitely still an NHL defenseman right now, I think, for us. Same with Whitfield. Whitfield actually has good potential to become an okay defenseman for us, so. But then you get into, like, Walking David and all that. Like, all those medium sevenths, like, some of them have to probably go. We'll get Steen signed up. He wants 2 ways, so that's good. Bogosian's going to want 1 way, same with Del Monte. Shipley will come back. Tamelin's going to be let go of. So, unfortunately, guys, I know you wanted me to keep the tower for a long time, but we don't have any more room for Ryan Tamelin. And, yeah, he's not been very good at the NHL or AHL levels. So, Tamelin is going to leave, but it has to be done because we have a lot of goalie prospects. So, best of luck to him. I don't think he's going to sign anywhere, to be honest, though. And then Shipley's obviously going to get a contract because we do need Shipley back for the NHL. So, we'll sign him on up. UFA goalies, you know, Spets is coming back. What do I want to do with the defensive core? Trying to think of what our defensive setup is going to be. Because this is going to be 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be the NHL defensive core, hypothetically. So then AHL, if I do not bring, I would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think we might honestly have to let go of some of these guys. So we have 2 already signed. 3, 4 already signed. 5 already signed with Fair. So technically we only need like another 3 at most. So I honestly might let go of some of these medium sevenths. Trying to think of who I would bring back. So I guess I will bring back Spike Parks just because he's kind of a legend with the team in a sense. David, do I want to bring David back? Or, yeah, I'm going to let go of, I think, 3 of these defenders, maybe. Maybe 2 of them. I guess I could let go of both the low 7s, but Pavelski to me has been one of the worser guys. I know it's not a word, but I could let go of him. He is the oldest of the bunch, too. So I think I will sign David for sure, just to give us more AHL depth for the time being. And then I'm going to let go of, I think, Pavelski here. Yeah, we're going to let go of Pavelski. And then I'll let go of one of these guys as well. I'm trying to think of who I want to let go of. Probably the right-handed is more valuable than the left-handed. Like, these guys are just some of our worst picks. We don't really need another offensive defenseman, so I am going to let go of Justice Volk, I think. You know, he's got a cool name. And we'll re-sign Trainer for another 2 years, I guess. That was some tough decisions, but we have to make those. Timmins is also kind of getting close to the point where he's getting weaned out, but we do need more forwards in the AHL, so he'll get signed again for another 2 years. And then these 2 guys, obviously, are the important ones in terms of money. And then I could bring back these guys on cap whale contracts if we need to. But let's start off with Bogosian here. He only wants a 1-year deal. Would be an RFA at the end of the year, but he only wants 2.4. His asking price, if we go up to 8 years, goes to $4 million, which is not too bad, but he doesn't want the long-term contract at the moment. So 2 years, he becomes a UFA. So next year, we're going to have to pay him, I guess. But 2.4 for a year, I'll take it for Bogosian. I'll take it. And Del Monte, what does he want? Ooh, that's an interesting deal. 6 years at $5 million is a good contract. But obviously, that walks him to UFA status relatively soon. So it's a bit risky. But he does want a no movement clause in that last year. Might be able to drop this down a little bit too. Let's just drop this down by like at least 1 bar. There we go. Something like that. 4.725 for 6 years. I know it does walk him to free agency potentially early, but we should have cap space by then still too. So you know what? I'm going to do that for Del Monte if he wants it. And we'll see if he accepts that in a sec or two. We'll advance the day and see those guys accept those contracts. So hopefully they do. And obviously we got to negotiate some stuff with those other UFAs just to fill out our rosters. So Spezza has joined the team. He will be in the AHL next year, which is great. Del Monte is on board, and same with Bogosian. Nice. Okay, down to 47 million in cap space. And we just basically got to bring in 2 cap whales probably at least. So I guess we will do the worst of the bunch just because make them a little bit worse, the AHL team. So we'll go 1-year deal and we'll give you $21 million. And we will also give Wiggle a 1-year deal. And we'll put this at a little bit less. I do still have those unsigned prospects I could bring in for the NHL team potentially too. So 60 million bucks, there you go. And we will let go of these 2 guys, I think, for the time being as well. But, yeah, I need your guys' opinions on Peterson, I think, especially. These 2 guys, I think, unsigned makes sense because they'd go back to junior or have to play in the NHL. Peterson, I think, is ready enough to jump into our NHL squad for next season. Because technically, at the moment, he'd be good enough to be our third-line center. But then we'd have Steen and Tulipov as extras. Oh, man, Tulipov might be back in the AHL if we did that. That's the only problem. So, yeah, I'll leave that up to you guys, I guess. But anyways, that's that. Final few things we got to do. I got to do the off-season focus stuff, and I don't really think we need to do anything in terms of coaching adjustments. I'm not going to do that at least this season. Maybe I'll do that next off-season, but for the time being, I don't think it's necessary. All right, so all that's good. Let me do some off-season focus stuff, and then I'll see you guys back up here in a second. Okay, guys, so we did all the off-season stuff. That is all dealt with. I did a couple of them for the AHL, not everybody. I did some for the better prospects just because some of the guys obviously don't have much potential anymore, or they're already kind of capping out, so might as well not give them any attention and kind of quicken up that part of the episode anyways. So that is all good and ready to go. I think we're ready to simulate up to year number 8, so let's begin to do that, and obviously it'll be exciting to see what our team is looking like to start this season, because I think it should be pretty good. We definitely should have players all above 70 overall, which is good. Maybe a bit more depth on the defensive side of things and also on forwards. Maybe a lot more tougher decisions to make who should be in the lineup and all that as well. So, like I mentioned, though, there is those 3 unsigned guys. I want your guys' still opinions if we should sign that 77 especially. If we don't, obviously we could wait a year and see where he is at that point, but I think it would give us better depth down the middle, and that could be something we want to have, obviously, for this upcoming year. So let's continue to advance until we get notified about the calendar, which should be relatively soon, and then we can get our lineup set up. We should probably still have some solid chemistry, hopefully, for the most part. And there we go. Let's get this set up and see who's going to be in the NHL and who is going to be sent down to the AHL, because like I said, there's probably going to be some tough decisions for the team this season. So Dalcoli and Shipley, 77-75. So they're both starting to become almost NHL caliber. Dalcoli's listed as a minor starting goaltender and Shipley as a backup. So not too bad. I'll definitely take that. We have Thorne, Spencer, Ollie, and Semenov in the AHL. So we have a bit of a logjam there. I probably will be letting go of Thorne in the offseason ahead. Ollie honestly could be let go of soon too. But Spezza is definitely going to be the starter in the AHL this coming season because he's obviously the medium league goaltender that we took second round, so we want him to get as much starts as possible. And likely Semenov will be the backup because he has also the most potential of the bunch. So Spezza and Semenov will run the AHL basically. Defensively, Tuzolino, Bell up to an 85, Norena an 81, Whitfield 75, Bates still 75, and Parks is still in the lineup, which is interesting, but he is a left-handed shot. So I probably should call up David because David's a right-handed shot, I would assume. Or we could bring Trevelyan back up. Huh, that's interesting. I guess I'll call up David for now. We'll see what that looks like in terms of chemistry, and we'll send Spike Parks down. Just because obviously we want to have 3 right-handers, 3 left-handers if possible. In terms of right-wingers, Stelwitz, Doig up to an 83. That's nice. Good little depth there. Malkin and Perron. Yeah, Perron's kind of capped out as a 75, which isn't bad, but obviously, he's going to be out of the lineup relatively soon. Zetterberg up to a 73. Timmins a 71. Okay, that's good. Left wing, Kolars, Del Monte. Capaduca an 81 is really nice to see. He's actually listed as a 4th liner now. Kamler a 74. Noonan a 72. Nobody that should come up. Bure's almost the best left winger in the AHL, so that's good. He'll be getting a lot of ice time. Centers, we have Ristolainen and Bogosian. Steen up to a 78. Wow. Okay, didn't expect him to jump up to a 78, but that's good. We are going to be sending down Rick Kim to the AHL, but he's a 74 to start this season, which is pretty damn nice. So I'll send him down, because obviously don't really need him in the NHL at the moment. We'll also send down Ahinen, because he's just another extra player at the moment, and that way Tulipov could still play in the lineup for a little bit. All right, now we should be able to get our lineup set up here, and we don't have any healthy scratches, correct? Just want to make sure we're not scratching anybody. Oh, we're scratching Noonan, so I got to send down Noonan, I guess, to the AHL. So another guy from that bottom six is getting thrown out of the lineup, unfortunately, but that's the way it has to go sometimes. So Noonan will jump to the AHL, and now we could actually get our lineup set up here. All right, so Kolar's, Ristolainen, and Staubitz looks good. Doig, Bogosian, Del Monte honestly looks good. Honestly looks good. We have two guys that are more third liners, but they are on the second line. Capaduca, I feel like, should have a top six role almost. But that's because he's a power forward that has good shooting, very good shooting at this stage. The question is there anybody... I guess I could move Del Monte down, but he is an 86 in the second liner, so probably not. I was thinking about moving Doig down to the third line, but we would have to get him to change over to a left wing as well. He is a left-handed shot, so maybe he'd be okay with it. I might actually ask him about that, and we will test that out. If not, Capaduca will be on the third line this year, which is not ideal, but it's okay. We also put Steen on the middle and a third line if possible. Kamilleri, Tulipov, Perron. I like the looks of this actually a lot. Like, this team has legit NHLers. Defensively, this is obviously still going to be a little bit more of a problem. Ooh, the chemistry does not look good here for some reason. Don't really know what it is. I guess we could do it like that, but -2 on Uranus pairing is not really what I had in mind, so I probably should call up a different defender. I probably should send David back down because he's another offensive defenseman, so let's go back to roster moves here and see if there's a defensive defenseman that's right-handed or something like that that could work better. Let's see. Yeah, Trevelyan honestly could work better again up here, so we'll call up Trevelyan and send down David just to see if that improves the chemistry a bit. So let's go ahead and do that. See if that fixes at least some of the plus-minus issues down there. Because Whitfield does make that second pairing a -2. That's not going to be a -5, is it? Oh, yeah, now we're going to get all those friggin' notifications. Let's just throw David in here for the time being. Go back to the NHL. -3 gets rid of it if we go up like that. Okay, that's good. So that's what we're going to run. I know it's just even zeros, but for now, that's better than nothing. Del Colleen Shipley. All right. So that looks good. What about power play setup? Ristolainen, Kolar, Staubitz, Tuzolino, and Arena. Second pairing has Bogosian, Capaduca, Del Monte, Steen, and Whitfield. I don't mind it. I do not mind it. Okay. Looking good. Penalty killers look good. Yeah, that looks good. I think our lineup looks good. Now, if we did sign that 77 overall top 6 forward, I don't know if it's actually necessary this season. It would basically just knock Tulipov out of the lineup, basically. Which Tulipov, I did address more on his faceoffs. They're up to an 80 overall now, so he actually can legit take faceoffs, so that's good. Steen still at a 76, so I probably should try and get him to be better at faceoffs. But right now, Tulipov is actually a legit centerman for that fourth line, so that's good. So I guess maybe we don't really need to sign that top 6 forward that we drafted so high up yet. We could, but I don't really know what I would do in terms of taking players out of the lineup. Like Tulipov would probably have to get sent down, which in this case he's got the good face-off, so I don't know if that would be a great move. So I think we'll probably run with this for the season and wait on the top 6 forward for one season at least. AHL-wise, let's make sure the right prospects are in the right spots. Kim got thrown on the left wing, which is kind of weird. I would prefer him to be our top line center. Ahinen is the second line center. That way Bure and Kim can play together with Zetterberg. That looks nice. Gite is also our own prospect, so we'll get him into the top 6. Winquist could probably stay on that third line for now, and Weston Timmons could go up there. Segal probably, he's a left winger actually, so he could go actually up here above Gite because he has higher potential. Dackel's not my prospect, correct? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so that looks good. Defensively, Park David, trainer that. No, that needs to be rate adjusted for sure. We need our low leads higher up in the lineup. At this point, Spike Parks is not as important as he used to be. We do still have Lee Scratch, so I will take out Fair, I guess. We'll get Lee in. And I will take, I guess, let's see who's also old. Let's take out Rohan Trainer. He has no potential. Let's get Jenks in as well. There we go. And then goaltending Spezza, and no, not Thorn. Thorn's going to come out for Semenov. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, we are going to have to start letting go of all these type of guys eventually in terms of free agency and all that, but we're starting to build up a good enough AHL prospect pool. Like Bure should do well next to Rick Kim, and Rick Kim should have a really good rookie season in EHL. And then that will get him into our lineup, obviously, for next season, which means we have a lot of centers. We are going to need to have some centers change over to wingers if possible, so I might have to do some of that, obviously, in a few episodes from now. Okay, final few things to wrap up this episode. Sorry if you hear leaf blowers in the background because they're freaking annoying as shit, and I have to talk over top of them at least for right now. But anyways, final few things we got to do is taking a look at what this draft class potentially could look like in terms of player types, and I think that'll probably be it at this stage. I'm not too sure exactly. Let's actually go to our unsigned prospects for a second here, because I want to see if they got any growth during the offseason or not. Unsigned, let's see. No, Peterson's still 77. Deggs is 69. Alright. That's still pretty good. Still pretty good. Lambert 67. Ackerson jumped up to, I think, to a 67. I think he was low for sure. But yeah, the prospect pool is looking pretty solid, if I'm not going to lie here. Perfect. So that's all good and ready to go. Final thing, let's take a look at what this draft class is looking like in terms of player types. Or not necessarily player types, but player positions. So the first overall pick this year is a center/left winger. Then you have a right winger. You have a couple defensemen in Bissonnette, Paul, right winger, and Rodov. I don't know how high we're going to be drafting this year, because last year we obviously had the 10th overall pick. So I honestly don't know where we're going to draft this year. Like, we could honestly be like a 15th overall pick, and I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, this is what it looks like in terms of depth. How good is the goaltending prospect pool? No goalies till like the late second round, so probably no good goalies in this draft, but that's okay because we already have a lot anyways. But looks like a good year for prospects and potentially. A lot of centers in the first round. Good amount of left wingers. And not as much right wingers, but that's all right. I don't even really know what we're going to need going forward in terms of a roster, so. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Albuquerque Aliens Draft Glory Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we will start up year number 8 already, which is kind of insane. We'll see how good this team does. I think this team could do better than last year, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if we stay right around the same, because obviously, I think we are improving, but at the same time, I don't know if we're going to improve to the point where we actually might make a playoffs push or something like that. So I think we're definitely getting close to playoffs, but I'm not too sure if it's this season or maybe 2 years from now. So that's down below, and I'll see you guys next time.